Okay, so we're going to continue our conversation on introducing a topic of interest. Before we talked about how a child could, look at his or her friend and find a visible clue, and then use that as a conversation starter, and it would likely be a topic of interest to the other person because it has to do with something that they are holding or wearing or something about them. The same strategy can be used, but in a way that actually is even more powerful. And we call it finding an invisible clue, something you can't see with your eyes. Though I've been told by some of the kids that it's like seeing it with your brain. What it really is that you're remembering something about the other person, and you use that memory or that idea or topic as a conversation starter the next time you see them. So, for example, if two friends got together and one was taking off to go to vacation the next day to Disney World, a week later they get back together. The friend who comes back from his vacation, if he's wearing a Disney World T-shirt, well, then that's a visible clue, and the child could run with that by pointing it out and asking questions and giving a compliment and just talking about something that the other person would likely want to talk about. But if the person comes back and they're not wearing a Disney World T-shirt, if the first person remembers though that, hey, he just went to Disney World, let me ask about that, and say, hey, how was your trip? You went to Disney World, right? Did you like it? How was the weather? Well, what rides did you go on? That sounds really cool. Wow. Uh, I hope to go later on this year myself. I mean, it really, so you're bringing up a topic of interest that the other person's likely motivated to talk about, and you're using it from your memory. You just pull it out and you use it specifically for that. Another example is when you have a play date, and let's say the friend comes over and they really like hide and seek. They just love that game, and your son or daughter, will play it because they've compromised, but that's not her or his favorite thing to do. But the next play date comes along, and if your son or daughter says, "Well, hey, I know you like to play hide and seek. Do you want to play that again too?" They're using part of their memory, and they are using that information as an invisible clue to bring up a topic of interest. When someone uses this strategy, it can speak loudly to the value of the relationship. It's one thing to look at somebody and pick up a visible clue. It's kind of a neat strategy. But to be able to find that invisible clue, something about the other person that you remember, it just speaks loudly, perhaps more loudly, to the fact that you mean something to me, and that's why I remembered something about you. So it sends a nice message too. We have a lesson plan, and in the next few um, slides, we'll get into it, um, and some of the visuals that go with it. Thanks. So the first page is really highlighting the parts of this lesson that the kids already learned, which is using visible clues as conversation starters of interest with their friends. Up top, it highlights that you're looking for visible and invisible clues, but just to make sure that you remember what the visible clue is. These are things you see with your eyes, like what the kids are holding or wearing or doing, or a recent haircut, eyeglasses, new eyeglasses, etc. But then we get into the invisible clue, which is now something that you remember about somebody. We help them with this by helping them identify, you know, interest and hobbies and birthdays of the people that are in the group, special events that are occurring in people's lives, so they can use that information when from time to time as invisible clues. But the idea is really pushing them forward to begin to remember things on their own about their friends, and so they can use that information the next time they see them. So it is introducing a topic of interest, that is the skill, but it really is also a friendship building strategy because friends do remember things about each other. And as friendships grow and strengthen, that aspect of the friendship becomes even more real. So, and we communicate that to the kids that are old enough to be able to take that information and understand what they're doing with it. Once they have that invisible clue, then we go right through the whole complimenting questions and comments. The questions and comments are more prevalent. Occasionally, there could be a compliment given. For example, if someone remembered that their friend likes to play hide and seek, and so the next time they come over for a play date, they say, "Oh, I remember you like to play hide and seek. You want to play that again?" And this time, I'm going to really try to find you because last time you're such a good hider. Remember, I couldn't find you for like 5 minutes, and so that would be an example of someone remembering something about a friend and using that information, and then even throwing in a compliment about it, and as one example. So this wraps up the introducing a topic of interest to others around visible and invisible clues, and really with the invisible clue more of a friendship building strategy as well. Thanks.